You're sitting in your living room after a 12-hour shift, staring at a text message from your ex that just blew up your entire life because she just told you the kid you've been raising for the last 2 years isn't actually yours. Your chest tightens and your mind starts racing. You signed the birth certificate at the hospital because you thought you were doing the right thing, but now you're wondering if the law is going to force you to pay for another 18 years for a child that isn't biologically yours. We're going to break down exactly how the law treats that piece of paper, what rights you actually have, and how you might be able to undo it. But first, I need you to understand one massive legal trap. When you signed your name at the hospital, you weren't just doing a nice thing, you were signing a contract. In most situations, a regular contract has an undo button, but in family court, undoing a birth certificate is brutally difficult. The law actually has a name for this. It's called a presumption of paternity. A presumption is just a legal assumption that the court treats as a hard fact, unless you can prove otherwise. Paternity means legal fatherhood. Notice I didn't say biological fatherhood. In the eyes of the court, biology is only one piece of the puzzle. The bigger piece is who took on the legal responsibility. When you sign that birth certificate voluntarily, you're telling the state that you accept full legal responsibility for this child, regardless of what the genetics say. So why does the state care so much? The government heavily prioritizes making sure a child has financial support. The state doesn't want the child to end up on welfare or needing public assistance. If there's a grown adult who signed a paper claiming to be the dad, the state is going to hold that person to it. It's strictly about money and accountability to the government. Now, you're probably thinking that this is completely unfair. You might be furious, and you'd be right to feel that way, but the law doesn't care about fairness to you. The law cares about the stability of the child. This brings up another massive legal term you need to understand. It's called the best interest of the child standard. Family courts don't make decisions based on what is fair to the adults. They make decisions based on what keeps the child financially secure and emotionally stable. If you've been acting as the dad for 2 years, the court sees a child who relies on you for housing, food, and emotional support. The judge is going to think very carefully before cutting that tie. But let's back up for a second. How did you actually get trapped in this? Most guys fall into this through something called an acknowledgment of paternity. This is a specific legal document, usually handed to you right in the hospital room while you're exhausted and overwhelmed. When you sign it, you waive your right to a DNA test. Waive means you voluntarily give up a right. By signing that paper, you're legally declaring that you're the father, and the hospital uses it to put your name right on the birth certificate. You usually have a tiny window to cancel it. In most states, you only have 60 days to change your mind. If you miss that 60-day window, that paper turns into a court order. A court order is a formal command from a judge that you must obey. Once that happens, getting out of it becomes a massive uphill battle. So what happens if the 60 days have passed? You can still try to undo it, but the road is steep. You've to go to court and ask a judge to let you do something called disestablishing paternity. Disestablishment is the legal process of proving you should no longer be treated as the legal father. But the court isn't just going to take your word for it, or even your ex's word. You've to jump through serious legal hoops. First, you generally have to take a court-approved DNA test. This is a test done by a specific lab that the court trusts, not a kit you buy at a pharmacy. Second, you've to prove that you didn't know you were being tricked into signing the paper. If the judge thinks you knew she was sleeping with someone else and you signed the paper anyway, they'll deny your request immediately. Third, and this is the hardest part, you usually have to show that you stopped acting like the dad the second you found out the truth. You also have to watch out for child support enforcement agencies. These are government departments that exist solely to collect money for kids. Once the mother applies for state help, like food stamps or Medicaid, the state automatically goes after the legal father for reimbursement. If your name is on that paper, they'll come after your paycheck. They can garnish your wages. Garnishment means they take the money directly out of your check before you even see it. They can intercept your tax refunds and suspend your driver's license, and they don't care about your new text messages. They only care about that birth certificate. Once you're in the system, the machine doesn't want to stop. It takes a massive legal fight to pause the machine, and that fight costs serious money. You might be wondering if you can just sue the mother for the money you already spent. Some states do allow you to sue for something called paternity fraud. You ask the judge to order her to pay you back for all the years you supported a kid that wasn't yours. But actually winning that case is incredibly rare. The court looks at the child's needs, not the mother's lies. The judge will usually say the money went to feed and house the child, so you don't get it back. It feels like a massive betrayal, and the system often feels rigged against you. But you need to understand the mechanics of the machine so you can fight back effectively. If you're in this situation right now, you can't afford to wait around and hope it fixes itself. You need to file a formal objection with the court immediately. An objection is a legal document that says you disagree with the current setup and you want a trial. If you miss the deadline to object, the judge will assume you accept the situation and you'll be locked in forever. Deadlines in family court are unforgiving. If the paperwork says you've 30 days to respond, they mean 30 calendar days, not business days. If the 30th day falls on a Sunday, you better get it filed on Friday. The court doesn't care that you had to work a double shift. You have to play by the exact rules of the paperwork. You also have to be incredibly careful about what you say to the mother. If you threaten her, or if you act aggressively, she can use that against you in court. The judge will see you as unstable, and they'll be even less likely to let you off the financial hook. Document absolutely everything. Save every text message. Save every voicemail. You need a mountain of evidence showing exactly when you found out the truth and exactly how you reacted. The judge is going to want a clear timeline. If you stand in front of the judge looking confused and unprepared, they'll keep you on the birth certificate. If you walk in with a binder full of texts, a certified DNA test, and a clear timeline of events, you actually have a fighting chance. The court responds to cold, hard documentation, not emotional speeches. This whole system is a trap for good guys who step up and try to do the right thing. The law assumes that if you act like a father, you must take on the financial burden forever. It doesn't care about your heartbreak. It only cares about closing the case and securing a funding source for the child. If you find yourself caught in this nightmare, don't try to navigate it alone. This is a highly specialized area of law, and one missed deadline will cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next 18 years. You absolutely must talk to a local family law attorney who knows the specific loopholes in your state. A lawyer can tell you if you still have time to use the disestablishment process, or if you're permanently locked in. They can help you file the correct motions so you don't get swallowed by the government machine. Had you ever signed a legal document for someone without fully understanding what it meant? Tell me your story in the comments below. If this breakdown helped you understand how the law treats birth certificates and fatherhood, pass this video along to a buddy who might be stressing over a DNA secret right now. Make sure you subscribe to Scribble Law so you always know the actual rules of the game before a courtroom trap tries to drain your bank account.